Hi guys, welcome back to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Hi guys, my name is Philip Andre Botello.
Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on. I'm really glad to be here.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm honored to have you on. I mean, it's so funny how we met. We just met at what was it? Is it Beverly? Was it Bank or something?
We were I think it was like Eagle Rock, and I had on the loudest shirt. I did this project, and you know me, lazy actor. I usually get my clothes from set. I took this shirt and I was like, I don't know if I can rock this, but it looks like it looks like a firework gone off on my shirt. So I was there, I got some coffee, and I was like just waiting for my friend Valeria, who you also met and had on your show. And then you and your friend approached me and you're like, "Hey, you're rocking that shirt." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And listen, to this day, I don't know if you're just being nice or just being
No,
like, "Oh,
seriously,
dude."
you rocked it. You were like so cool. Like I was like, who is this guy? Is this he trying to get your shades? He just walk and the sun just hitting you just right. So you look like super greased up and like oily and like you're going to like a shoot or something. I'm like, look at this cool guy. He's so cool. And you were just so sweet. And it's so interesting how, you meet someone and then, you just never know,
Yeah.
yeah, and then like, oh my gosh, then which leads me to one of my questions about you is I remember when I was like this cool guy, and then I looked you up and I was like 83 credits. That is a lot of acting. First of all, how did you start and why acting?
Okay, so you know what? I think very, very early on, I think I wanted to be like a filmmaker. And I grew up between LA and San Diego, and I don't think I just had the opportunities. But the real the why acting, I think, is my mom. My mom really champions teachers. She helps teachers learn how to do it better, and she saw that I had a need that wasn't being fulfilled. So she put me in a position where I would get these opportunities. So, for instance, you put me in an art school, and that art school, I remember wanting to go for video production to learn how to make
Wow.
film because I was doing it with my friends, but they didn't have that. The only disciplines they had were acting, dance, and painting at the time, and music. And
Wow.
so the school is called Coronado School of the Arts, and the teacher was like, "Can you do one of these?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'll do acting." And I auditioned, and that teacher I was previously with another teacher. She was like, "You have to be an actor. This is your career. Like, you're a born actor." And I was like, okay. Tell me about this video production class though."
Right,
and it and
right.
it yeah, and it was a bust. When I got to school, they fired that guy like the next month. So I was just like, "Well, I came here for this, so I
Wow.
guess I'll do acting." Yeah, but from there I got accepted into the Juilliard School of Drama, and then I just kind of been grinding ever since, and just going, fortunately now going from project to project. And yeah, it's been a long journey. The hardest part is just getting started,
Yes.
trying to get your foot into the first film, get somebody to cast you. That's the hardest time. Yeah.
Now,
But
I'm sure that's definitely like the hardest time, like to as far as like, because you're like, how do what do I go? How do I do this? Like, especially when it's like there's so many people doing acting. So it's like,
yeah.
what do you do? Like, did you create some of your work, like and cast yourself and stuff? Or
Well, first I was coming out of New York, and I predate a little bit of like all of this, this new technology with um, the phones, and this. So when I was in New York, we were still like on the like just the cell phone. There was no there was no video capabilities. um, but in terms of that's a great question. Creating at that time there were pieces for me, and I was doing theater a lot. but I really wanted to do film. So what I had to do is I would have to create my own like material. Like I would write my own, I don't know, they call it monologues or whatever. And I do it because at that time, and this is how, I don't know if they still do this, but back in that time in New York, I think it was like when you're super green, you would audition for film, but they'd want you to do a monologue, which now is like just it's so ridiculous. But so I'd have this, I was super green and they have these pieces to do. And at Juilliard, they make you do Shakespeare. And I remember doing that one time for film and they were just like, what are you doing? So I never did never did that again. But I started writing my own pieces, started writing things that I wanted to do. And a couple times, I had the casting director or the person who was filming me say like, hey, what's that from? Like, hey, that was a good piece. And I had to be like, oh yeah, it's from this play, I'd make something up. But it was my own stuff. So to answer your question, yeah, I had to write my own stuff, like create my own pieces to showcase me the best.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, like you said, it that's what it takes, if you want not waiting by the phone, essentially, like a lot of people do, like, well, they're gonna find me. It's like, no, you gotta put yourself out there so they can see you.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people, but 83 credits is absolutely amazing. We'll I'll definitely get into some of those credits.
Oh boy.
I'm curious of like, so the love for film, would you say, do you like, was it when you're a child or when you just kind of got older, you're like, this is what I want to do, and why film? I mean, you could have chose any other career. I'm sure you would have been amazing at it, but I'm always curious of like what is made you stay in it.
That's a great question. And I wonder sometimes, I don't know if I'm a cinephile. I do watch a lot of movies, but when I was super young, I wanted to be everything martial arts. So I was doing everything Bruce Lee, everything Jackie Chan. I was running around the house. But how we know those guys is on film.
Right.
So I was inspired to try to create some of these fight scenes and some of these things with my friends. So we would get, the only person who had a camera was my friend Bruce Gaines, and we would try to recreate those things. But I noticed if you just did a fight scene, it was pretty boring. So I'd have to like, okay, well, I have to write a scene around the fight. You know what I mean? So I was like, and then I'd have to cast my friends. That's kind of what got me into it. But your question is very specific because there are some specific moments. I remember this vividly. My dad, I was like 12. My dad he watches a lot of movies. He had a VCR. That's how, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was practicing martial arts and he was like, hey, I rented this movie. You should really watch it. I think you'll like it. That's all I said. It was this movie called The Usual Suspects. And
Yes.
I watched that movie and I don't know, something happened to me. I felt what I can identify now. Like I felt envious that I wasn't in the movie.
Mm.
I felt very excited that they were doing something like this. I had this feeling like I wanted to be a part of it and like, wait, I want to do this. And at that time, I didn't understand what it was. I just was super excited about it. And I remember telling my friends like, hey, you got to watch this movie. And their response was like, oh, it's a martial arts movie. And I was saying, no, it's just a movie and you should really watch it. So that was like my first kind of, there was like a spark there. And I just was, I don't know, there's something about that. I was like, why am I not a part of this? And then the second film that really got me into it was this director called Wong Kar-wai, who is famous for this movie called The Chungking Express and 2046. But he had this movie on the Sundance Channel. They were playing it. It was called Fallen Angels, and it just, I was like, okay, I don't know what's happening. I need to do this.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, and it transitioned, because at that time, it's all about access. Like Jay-Z always talks about like what's the difference between him and Bill Gates. Well, Bill Gates' parents put him in front of computers.
Right.
So if Jay-Z put them in, so I didn't have access to I didn't have my camera. I didn't have, that was like not in the card. So, the only thing that I had available were some of these programs that got me on the stage, and I was doing that. But the goal for me was to get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So it took me years, but
But
I finally did.
Consistency. That's it.
Yeah.
Watering, yeah, the more you water that seed, it's gonna grow eventually. It has to. There's just,
Yeah.
it has to, for sure grow. But it's interesting with the theater and stage, like how like, were you nervous? Like you just was like, all right, I'm ready. I mean, because I would think actors, well, a part of me thinks that actors love being in front of the camera because it's like, oh, it's it's me. Hey guys. But I'm sure there's a bit of like the nervousness about it, and then what did you? I guess what was one of your biggest takeaways from stage, or just because I'm sure stage and film is completely two different things.
Well, I mean, essentially, you're trying. The basics of it is the same. You're trying to be truthful and honest, blah blah blah. But there are very very different, technical and technique, and yeah, I loved doing the stage, and I love that because it was an outlet for me. But that was a little more like um, people. So there was one teacher and another teacher who said, "Hey, this is something you should do." Like previously, before that, my mom took me to that art school. I had this eighth grade teacher, and I was flunking, and he was like, "Hey, you're flunking. Look, we put speeches on the board on Monday. Just memorize it. You could say for the class because you goof off anyways. So just do that, and I'll give you at least a C or a D plus." But to answer your question, one day he put something on the board called "On the Waterfront" by Marlon Brando. It was like a monologue, and I came on that Friday, and it just like took over me. And he stopped the class, and he was like, brought me to another teacher, and they all like talked amongst themselves, and they're like, "You're an actor." They're like, "This is what you need to do. You should be doing that." Like, he's like, he's basically saying like, "You're wasting your time if you don't like try to find that out." So when I relayed this to my mom, we got into the arts program. I'm still only concentrated on film. But then when I got same thing when I got to this arts program, it was kind of reinforced. Like this teacher was like, "Hey, you're an actor." She's like, "You auditioned." She was like, "You're an actor. Like this is your lane." And I was like, "Okay." But listen, I ate it up and I loved it, and I fell into it, and I wasn't necessarily afraid because um it's interesting because it was kind of more like the goal was to get into the video productions class so I could get the film. So I was like, hey, I got to do what I got to do. So if I have to, be in these plays and do the best that I can, then I'll do it. And so it was very motivating. I definitely learned a lot, and I'm someone had recently sent me like a video of me in high school in a play, and I'm so terrible.
Don't you love
It's
those
like,
when they come when someone sends you like the video, like the old, like you're like, oh, why just burn it, please. This is
and listen, I know, and at that time I thought I was fire. It's so terrible. I was like, oh, but I will say this: the one thing about that is, I was coming into that arts program as a sophomore, and they do like these shows with the program, like they put on productions, and the acting teacher I fell in love with, she teaches the older class, but I had auditioned for this play and I got into it, and it was my first year, and that wasn't really heard of. And she came up to me after in the show. She didn't know me, and she was like, "Oh, where did they hire you from? They hired you from like one of the professional theaters because sometimes they don't have enough guys." And she was like, "Oh, where did they hire you from?" And I was like, "No, I'm a student here." And she was like, "Oh, okay. What's your name?" And then we had this like rapport. So I owe a lot to where I am, being in that program, to nurture those talents. And that goes back, to my mom, like, seeing that I needed to be in this space and,
that's
giving me the access. Yeah.
that's
Sorry, that's a
no,
long-winded question.
I love it. I know it's great. I think that's amazing that your mom was so supportive as well. Like that, a lot of people I think lack that too, that kind of support of like, like, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, I don't really, because it's for me, my parents were super like, whatever you want to do, go for it. We're
Yeah,
here. So I
that's
think
great.
that's a super important thing to like winning or excelling in whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah, it is because like I wasn't a linear kid and I didn't learn in a linear way. Like I'm a kinesthetic learner, and my mom, I think because she had a higher education and she was learning that she could understand that um, a traditional classroom setting might not be the best for me. But I was also pretty moody. She was like, "What's wrong?" And you know, I took things to the chest in terms of like what I wanted to do. I was in a regular like middle school program, and in that eighth grade year, they did have like this, like it was really crummy. I'm sorry to say, it's really crummy, like a video kind of course, but they had video cameras.
Yeah.
And I remember shooting around and doing things with my friends. And when we had like parent conference day, the teacher took all my stuff and she put it up and she showed it on the TV, and everyone was watching. I was like, I think I got something here. So, but I remember she she I would get like during class I could get people to come out and work on my video production stuff.
Nice.
And so people were like, yeah, use me. But I remember this, like you got good teachers, you got bad teachers.
Right.
And then I asked for my friend to come out of a math class, and the teacher came out and she was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I have permission from my teacher I need to use him for like 30 minutes. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm filming something for my class. And I remember this. She goes, no, I'm not going to let him. He's got real work to do. And then I remember that was kind of like the catalyst for everything, because when I went home that day, my mom was like, why are you upset? And I was like, this teacher said something. And my mom was asking me, she's like, well, did she offend you? And my response was, no, but I felt like what I was doing was real work.
Mm.
And that's when my mom was like, maybe we should take you to a place that focuses on that. And so, these things as kids were maybe, and I'm fortunate, maybe someone else's parent would have been like, hey, get over it, go back to school. And,
Right.
you know,
Go take a shower, whatever, go to bed.
Yeah. I hope I answered your question. That's like a long.
You did. I love long answers. So I love it. It's great. I get to know a little bit more about you and how you work. So now you're in stage, everything's going great. You're acting. Were there any times where are you from exactly?
Oh, I was born in Los Angeles.
Oh, you're a native. Oh, you're good. You're
Angelina.
good. So I'm curious, because I know there's a bunch of people that, come out and, it's like the price of living is astronomical and they're trying to support their dream. They're doing all this and stuff. So, I mean, even then, things have changed now.
Yeah.
I mean, the gas prices were insane. Like when I was
man.
when I was there. I'm from Florida. I'm used to like stuff like $2.30, $3.
I wish.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's such a did you ever have a point in your career and you were like, I don't know, like this is a lot to put, like you have to pay the bills and also make this work. How did you find that balance? I mean,
it was tough, and a lot of times my mom moved to San Diego when she separated from my father, so they were divorced when I was pretty young. So I have family in LA and San Diego, and I grew up, like my high school and middle school years were in San Diego. And then of course when I got accepted to Juilliard, I went to New York. So now after I was wanting to become a professional, I had to come back to LA, and just what you're talking about, it was very difficult because I'm coming from this place and I've been gone for like 4 or 5 years. I'm trying to start being a professional. You get to LA, and if you're lucky, you come out with representation, and the first thing they say, like for me, because I was just focused on acting, I was like, I don't care where I live, I'll sleep on people's couches, which I did. I slept on a lot of my friends' couches, a lot of relatives' couches. I didn't have a car. I was taking the bus and the train, plate like the subway system, which is terrible in LA. It's tough. It's good in like little areas, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like a bit of a juggling act, and more so for me because you know, I'd show up and you know, I don't come from a very affluent family, but I would show up and, you know, first thing your new manager says or whatever is like, hey, you need new headshots. And at this time it was a little different now, but it was like you want to get someone decent, it was like starting at $500. And you're like,
Right.
oh man. So okay, and then like, yeah, and then we need this, and do you have any footage? Let's get your footage. Let's, you know what I mean? Like, so it was tough, and there was a lot of times where it's like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna succeed, or I don't know how I'm gonna get to, um, you know, see my what I've been working on come true. But I think in those situations, what helped me is, you know, the not the end goal, but the idea and the persistence of just, you know, making sure I got on set, and I had to be specific about it. So when I was in those situations, I had to be really specific about what I was trying to do, because when I got to LA, I started acting and stuff, but it wasn't like film or TV. I started like I was doing a little play here, and I was like, okay, I was like, Phillip, you need to be super specific. What do you want to do? Okay, I want to be in films and TV. Okay, so what do I need to do that? I got the agent. I need to start getting, you know, work on camera, you know,
Mhm.
because they want to. So I was like, if I have to start auditioning for student films right now and just getting some, you need footage, you know,
Yeah.
so people. Um, so I was like, I just got to get really specific. And at the time, I was working like a hotel job, and the only thing, and for an artist, you know, like if you're doing that, it can feel like it's soul sucking,
Oh
and
yeah. Oh yeah.
you're just like, I can't do this until
Right.
you get the first one
Right.
or something comes to, and then it's a little easier to do this thing, do this job, because you're like, okay, I got it. I know where I'm going to be. I
Right.
know where I'm going. This is just to support me, and it can be tough. And I'm not trying to like, make a sad story, but I worked in hotels overnight, so I did the graveyard shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I'd be up all night, and then sometimes I'd get auditions, and you know, it's pointless to go to sleep. So I just wait around in Hollywood, go to my audition, and then knock out. So for most of these auditions, especially early on, I was dead tired. But yeah, I was taking the bus. But you know, it's just I had a I had a passion for it, and you know, yeah, that's what kind of, I think pushed me forward. Does that answer your question, or?
That's beautiful. No, that's fantastic. Like I love the persistence that you have, and that's how you know someone is. It's when you know that it's meant for you to like to have it. It's meant for you. Like this is your path. There's no deviating. Like it doesn't matter. Like what happens, come rain, hell or
Right.
storm. You know, like not having a like transportation to places to sleep. You know, like it's that grind. It's like no matter what, I'm here, and
Yeah.
that speaks volumes. That's absolutely amazing, amazing. I recently saw the interview that you had. You could please definitely tell us about that. But was that like a full circle moment? Because I'm thinking, like you said, you did stage, and now it's like, oh, now you're back in front on stage for an interview talking about it's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. Like how did that feel, and when did that come about? And
It's great. You're talking about the PBS interview?
PBS, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it just that guy's great. It's called the Theater Corner, and we did the interview, and then he got picked up by PBS like nationally, so it's gonna air again on January 13th, and it's gonna be on TV and stuff. But it was cool. The guy who directs that, his name's Michael. He's really cool, and we kind of knew each other. And I think I was on his radar for a little bit, and he was on mine. And he really wants to champion diverse talent coming from stage, but also film and screen. And he heard that I had like a stage career here in San Diego, and I went to New York, and so he wanted to interview me about my stuff. And then it was at the time when I had all this like movies coming out. Like at the time we were circling each other. I had this movie, The Art of Self-Defense, and it was huge. And we couldn't get their schedules because I was everywhere, but we finally did, and it was here in San Diego, and it was awesome because because you very very rarely step back and like look at where you've come, and yeah, it was interesting because for me, I'm always like in the perpetual, like I'm going to the next one, going to the next one.
Yep.
So yeah, you're probably the same way, right?
Definitely. It's like literally, let's keep it going. Let's go. I never have time to stay and think about something. I'm like, all right.
So it was interesting to like sit down and talk about these things, and he was asking like some really good questions, and it was good. It was reflective, and it was great. My sister went with me. She did my makeup.
Oh, I love that. That's so good.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was fun.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But yeah, no, it was a good experience.
Yeah, because you look great. You seem like natural. I mean, I love it. You look. I was like, fantastic interview, fantastic. So, and congratulations on that. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome. I've also looked at some of your credits, and I mean, like I said, you have so many credits. I mean, what's one of your? I guess you can't really pick a favorite, but one, maybe two that you really like, projects that you've done that like kind of, I would maybe not change you, but it was like a really full experience and you really enjoyed it, like something that stands out and you're like, that is why I want to act.
Oh, 100%. There's so many. There's a lot experiences, and also like getting to the thing. But before I answer that question, I wanted to tell you, because you're asking me about like the hardship, and I just wanted to tell you that the very first thing that I got, like the big thing, was this movie called Funny People with Adam Sandler, and I played like Jonah Hill in that movie, was in the movie, and he plays an actor, and Jason Schwartzman is there, and we're filming this TV show, and I play one of these kids in the TV show. But the reason I wanted to just tell you about it is I had $3 in my pocket to go to that audition.
Wow.
And I jumped on the red line, and I got there in Hollywood. It was Hollywood and Gower. It was super early, and I was pretty like defeated. I was like, I'm sleeping on someone's couch, and I didn't have enough money to get back because I needed to get something to eat. So I think I got like at the Coffee Bean like a bagel or something. And I did that audition, and I remember I walked back as far as I could, and then I hopped didn't pay for a ticket back to North Hollywood.
Wow.
But that's the first thing that I booked. So It's this weird thing. I'm sleeping on somebody's couch, and I'm kind of like, I don't know. And then I get a call, and they're like, hey, this Adam Sandler movie, you booked it. And so, it's kind of like if there was like a juxtaposition, because I'm like, okay, that's so great. And I'm like, I'm literally sleeping on somebody's couch right now.
Yeah, it's like, wow.
Yeah. But so that was just because, like a lot of everyone likes to talk about, like the good stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to, and that was the reality of the situation. But to answer your question, there's a couple films that have been were like, this is why I want to act. The first one, and it's called this. Okay, so it's a movie, and it's out right now, and we did it like 2 or 3, 4, 5 maybe years ago, but it just got distribution and it got released.
I love it.
It's called Sunset. And it's how it works. It's called Sunset on the River Styx, and it's starring obviously myself and really talented co-star Jackie Jandrell, but it was done by this filmmaker named Aaron Pagliano, who's a super talent. It's like it's an interesting film. It's right now it's streaming on Amazon and like Apple TV, and it's everywhere. It just got picked up by Magnolia Pictures. But anyways, it was a great moment because I was starting to book a little bit more of my career, and a friend of a friend was like, "Hey, this guy is looking for a lead in his film." And I think they weren't. I think he was looking for a Caucasian person. They weren't really looking for but I auditioned, I read it, and he sent me this script, and it was one of those moments where like, this is why I want to do what I do. And I even told him, because at first he didn't send me the script. He just sent me like a couple pages, and the writing was so specific. And I was like, look, I know you probably weren't thinking of me because the way I look, whatever, but I don't know who you wrote this, and off of these 4 pages you sent me, it's very well crafted, and I feel like I understand what's happening here, even though I haven't read the script, and it feels very strongly. And it turns out like later, the writer director told me like that scene he wrote was off of something that really happened, where a girl was kind of like breaking up with him, and I could feel it. I could feel it on the page. It wasn't just a breakup scene, but there's something underneath, and I was like, so we connected. But that whole film, when he sent me the script, I just was like, oh man, this is why you do these things. It was just one of the most engaging, thoughtful, and really cool projects. And it wasn't just me that I was like showcasing me and my co-star, but it was just something that you wanted to like sink your teeth into. And it's also that fear, like, I don't know if I can do this.
Right. Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
So that one definitely is stands up there for me. It's been a long project and a journey. And then the other one, kind of, it happened so fast, and it's kind of, I don't want to use it as a cop out, but the art of self-defense is like, that's one of the movies that I can step back and just look at it and go, this is an awesome movie.
Yeah.
And Riley Stearns is the director, and that was a quick process. It was just like, they were they couldn't cast this part. I sent in the tape. I was on another film. It was super late, and Jesse Eisenberg looked at the tape and gave it to the director. And on the plane over from one shoot to that shoot, I got to read the script, and that's when I was like, whoa,
this is awesome.
I'm like, what? And then I think I even told the director, I was like, love, I was like, there was no time. Yeah. I showed up and I was like, loved your other film. I loved your other film, Faults. And I didn't watch it. And then after the first day, I went to my hotel and I watched that movie, and I was like, that's fantastic.
Like, what? This is gonna be epic.
So yeah, those right now, I have other ones, but those are 2. I think it's like why you become an actor. And for me, there's other movies too, but those are ones that stand out. Like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's beautiful. And I know that I really like the one that you just posted about with.
So Valeria, we have this movie called Once in a Blue Moon. She wrote it, and it's a long time coming. We're in the process. We're doing like a pre-production, but it's pretty much ready to go. We're just going to get some people to come on board, but looking forward to it. She's a talent. Me and her met on a film that we won't. We met on a film. We met on a film, and we just kind of like hit it off. And then she asked me to audition for one of her projects, and then that's when I think we're kind of like, okay, she's serious about her. She's a creator like yourself, and she is one of these people, which I appreciate, who when they say it, they'll do it. So
right.
Which is weird, and it's kind of, and honestly, you and like Valeria, you guys piss me off, because you'll just say something like, yeah, I think I'm gonna write a book, and then you write the book, and I'm like, okay. Or like, yeah, look, there's a short film I'm gonna film. I'm thinking about shooting it in Russia. And then the next week I'm like, hey, how are you doing? She's like, oh yeah, I'm going to Russia to shoot that film. I'm like, get out of here. Come on. But I'm looking forward to we're gonna shoot that soon, and it's called Once in a Blue Moon, and I think it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. Just the stills and like the clips, and it looks like, I'm like, wow, I can't wait to see it. It looks like the chemistry, all of it is just, you feel it. So
thank you. That means so much, because it's like it's like close to the chest, because she's been working on it a lot, and I've been helping her a little bit and trying to put in my own. But it's her writing, so I can't really take credit.
I'm excited. kudos to you guys. That's fantastic. I love creating with friends. I love that this art, this profession, we can do that. Like that's what a lot of, even like huge creators do. They, like Scorsese and Leo are like, they're like that. So it's like, why not have those people that you want to create with, and so I think it's fantastic. Is there so I like to ask this question to every guest that's on the show, and being that you've been acting for quite some time now, so I'm sure you've seen a vast many things in the industry, good and bad. What advice would you give to someone that really wants to try this and give it a try, like acting? What would that be?
Oh, great. I would try to get, you don't necessarily need to go like to a full program, but I was like, really try to train, really try to work on your craft. And if you want to do this, it's going to be like a lifelong process of acting, because you always have to sharpen your tools and you have to be in a constant process, and know that they say it takes 20 years to become a decent actor. So you know what I mean? So it's a process, but always try to be improving your craft. And if you want to do this and you feel like you have a voice, and you should really just go for it. And what that means is try to audition, try to get in projects, and don't I tell a lot of people, like, look, there's a lot of ways to be rich and famous. You don't need to do it through acting or a career, but if you feel like this is one of your passions, and you really gotta, it would be silly to deny that. So I would say the advice I would say is make sure that you're working on the craft and go for it 100%. What that means is make sure that you position yourself in the best opportunities, like where you need to be, like location, area, what city are doing those things for your said craft. And don't just try not to have a measuring stick based on other people's opinions, because it's hard. You hear a lot of like people who don't, and I want to say don't know what they're talking about, but people who aren't in the business, they'll say when you make it. And then I always ask, like, well, what does that mean? So my friend was talking about it. It's like, well, my mom said when I make it. And I was like, what do you mean when you make it? What does that mean to her? When you're on TV, or like when you have a movie on Amazon? Because I just watched your movie is streaming. So what does that mean? Does that mean $1 million? Because, you can play the stock market and get $1 million. So what does that mean to be super famous? Don't let other people give you the measuring stick on what success means to you. What does it mean to you? Like what does it mean to you, and what is it that you're trying to achieve, and be super specific about it. And like, if you want to be an actor, like, again, what kind of actor? Do you just want to do film, or do you want to do film, theater, TV? Like, be specific, because that's something that I had to do. I was doing on this, stage, and I love stage, and I was like, I wanted to be a film actor. So get specific about it. But it's difficult. Sometimes not for everyone, but don't try not to compare yourself to your peers even. And if you are going to be in this said profession, try to seek out people and get advice, if you want, from people who are maybe at your level or above. I'm not trying to be, like a elitist or anything, but the problem with our job is everyone thinks they know and they can chime in. And if you're sick, right, and I'm sick, I'd go to a doctor, and that doctor has certain criteria. I wouldn't just call up my cousin, Ricky, and be like, yo, bro, do you know anything about surgeries? Can you give me some advice? Let me come to your house and do it. No, he sent me to a trained professional. So that's what I say to people. Like, if you are going to start being a professional, You want to make sure you get advice from professionals, not your mom, not your dad, not your friends, not even people in your class, because they're not, you know what I mean? So sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but
No, I love that.
yeah, that's what I'd say. And that if you keep doing that, then you're gonna start seeing that things will start to open up. And you'll start, getting getting the things that you are trying to get. And it might change. It might start happening. And you're like, maybe I don't like this, or
Yeah.
maybe this is not for me. So yeah,
Mm.
that would be my advice. If that is advice, yeah.
That's fantastic advice. No, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to say to the audience, the listeners, like what you're working on, or and also where can they find you on social media?
Right. You can find me on social media. My Instagram is Phillip Andre Botello, my full name, and so is my Twitter, Phillip Andre Botello. I'm working on a lot of stuff. Most people can see my work on like some of the things that I get known for. Like people are like, oh, is obviously The Art of Self Defense, which is streaming on Hulu and Apple TV, and then Sunset on the River Styx, which is also streaming on Amazon and some other platforms, Voodoo. Those are kind of like the big ones. And I have a movie that just came out with Nicholas Brendan called Wanted Want. There's a lot of stuff, right? So I'll keep it, but I'm working on some good things. I just finished a movie in Mississippi called The Loss of Essence, and we shot it on film, which
Hey.
I know. Yeah. And yeah, I have some other things coming out. Obviously, Once in a Blue Moon. Once we start shooting that, I can't wait to get it out. But yeah, there's like 6 projects I'm not mentioning, and they're escaping me. But there's a bunch of stuff that I'm coming out, and I did this film. I think it's titled right now 29. It's me and another actress, Ava Serene Portman, and I think that film it's not released yet, but it just got accepted to the Garden State Film Festival, I think.
Congratulations.
I haven't seen the whole thing, so it's just a lot of So yeah,
That's exciting. I'm excited for you. It's already a great year ahead in 2022.
hmm
So I mean, congratulations to all your success, and obviously to many, many more. And so happy that you could talk to us and give us some insight of how to do this thing. So I appreciate it. We the listeners appreciate it as well.
yeah.
So,
And then listen, we need to work together. You like horror. You love it.
I do.
Okay. So then we need to watch. I would love to. You don't have to, but there's a film that I did, and a lot of people love it. It's streaming on Hulu. It's called Pledge, and it was like IFC Midnights. It got picked up by IFC Midnight. It was on like GQ's best horror of 2019, 2020 when it came out. So tell me what you want. Tell me, take a look, and then if we can work on something.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, that's literally, and that is literally the genre that I love. That's so funny. It says 2019. I gotta go back and see because I did something for IFC in 2019, but it was a documentary. It's horror noir, the history
Yeah.
of black people, actors and filmmakers in America, and how it basically talks about, from Oscar Mescal, who's the first recorded, African American director in Hollywood, and then with Jordan Peele being, he won an Oscar for Get Out. So Jordan Peele's in it, and amazing, a lot of the filmmakers.
Yeah.
I got to be a part of it. One of the filmmakers to be on the interview, and so it was like, whoa! All these Candyman. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is life. This is it.
Where can I watch that? Where can I watch that?
That got picked up by Shudder, and I believe that's on Shudder. It's a horror website. It's basically just like a subscription base. I think they're partnered with AMC. So yeah, AMC.
Well, congratulations. I will definitely check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and we will definitely. I mean, I got so many ideas for I can just see it, but yeah, no, thank you so much again. I'm so excited to see what else that you're coming out with, and everything you post is just so cool. So everybody go follow him. So that's another wonderful episode, everybody. And always remember to live love, laugh. See you guys next time. Bye.
See you guys.